And welcome to our first live tasting on Aurora today. For those of you who don't know the brewery very well, you're new to us, my name is Nigel. I started the brewery with Al Reed in 2012, and we're a tiny little microbrewery in the northeast of Scotland, a place called Lossiemouth, which is a stunning location. Beaches and hills and everything you want to do getting out and about. If you want to know more about the area, if you look on our website, we've got a great little video which just shows you what a wonderful place it is to live, and we're very lucky. Certainly during this period it's quite easy for us to get out and about, to go for our hours exercise or whatever it is we're allowed, into the woods or onto the beach, whatever you'd like to do. So Aurora, this is the first of 4 planned tastings we're going to do. Next week we've got Weizen, and then if everybody's enjoying it, we're going to do Wolf, and then Hurricane after that. Please ask any beer related questions, Stuart, and I will try and answer as best I can. So Aurora, here we go, in bottle. First brewed 2014, it proved very popular. We decided we wanted to do a New Zealand hop beer, and do something nice and light and fresh, 3.8%, so below the 4% mark, which the pubs seem to like. But we wanted to do something that had a little bit of the sass of a New Zealand hop. New Zealand hops have got really interesting flavours about them, and they're also, as we discovered, relatively hard to get hold of, some of them. So as I say, first brewed in 2014, and it was popular, so we thought we'll keep brewing it, and we did another batch. But what we struggled to do is get the original hops. So Nelson Sauvin, which is the quintessential New Zealand hop, that's what we had in the first brew, and it gives a lovely tang. It's got a bit of a zing to it, a slight unusual character. So that it's got grapefruit, it's got sort of gooseberry type flavours to it, and it has a sort of a white grape flavour in there, the sort of skin of a white grape, a bit of dryness to it as well. So we unfortunately couldn't get hold of that, so we did have to change the hops around, and I know that there's a few people who commented that it hasn't been quite like the first batch we did, and that's because we couldn't get the hops. So we've been using Wakatu and Motueka, and we actually put Cascade in there to give a bit of the floral flavours, floral and fruit flavours that we thought we maybe lost with the Nelson Sauvin missing, and we've carried on with that until this year, and we've managed to get hold of Nelson Sauvin again. So we were really quite surprised actually, and pretty chuffed to be able to get it back and give Nelson Sauvin a go, try and get back to that original recipe, and get that little bit of sass about it, which we think we've recreated. So just a few things about the hops. So Nelson Sauvin, lots of grapefruit, white grape, gooseberry, so it's quite tangy. It's got a bit of sort of grape skin dryness to it, I think. Wakatu is sort of more floral flavours, with and it's got lime and sort of lemon type zest flavours in there as well. The Motueka is quite a lively lemon and lime sort of zing to it, and it leads to you end up getting according to the books, a tropical fruit flavour, and that definitely adds in here, we think. The Motueka is a nice addition, and that's the Motueka and Wakatu have been in the beer from the start, and have been adding those flavours in. But the Nelson Sauvin, which hopefully you'll see, just adds a nice little bit of tang to it. So a couple of things on our beer and our bottlings. We bottle condition our beers, which a lot of you will know. And the thing about bottle conditioning is the handling of the beer is quite specific. You need to be a little more thoughtful maybe than with sort of standard non-bottle conditioned beers. The beer is best stored upright, and because the yeast will then settle into the bottom And when you go to pour, you'll get a nice clear beer. And these I've just sat outside. Now it's quite cold at the moment, so they're quite chilly. It's best not to stick them in the fridge for too long. So if you want them chilled, put them in the fridge for 30 minutes or so before you drink them, but not for too long. You don't want it too cold because it'll kill the carbonation in the beer. It definitely makes a difference to those carbonation levels. And I was hoping to show you with one I stuck in the fridge, but when I felt them, it was about the same temperature as the ones that have been sat outside just normally. So probably won't have that much of an effect. So I'm not going to do that. What I will do though is we'll have a quicker look at the pour. So nice bit of fizz on the opening, but not too crazy. Pour in well. And what you should do when you pour is nice gentle pour. You don't want the yeast to come out, certainly not on a beer like this. You don't want the yeast to come out. And if you're just pouring your bottle like I am, if you look in the bottom, you'll be able to see there's a little cake of yeast down there in the bottom of your beer. And here we go. So I'm going to do that tasting thing that I always laugh at people and talk rubbish about beer. I would please note that we are all different in our taste buds. So I'm going to talk about things that you probably aren't tasting at all, or hopefully you are tasting a bit of them, but we all have different taste buds. So we will all taste slightly different things. Just note that when I'm talking about what I'm smelling and tasting, etc. So on the nose, I'm getting quite a bit of fruit actually. Nice, the lemon, lime sort of flavours are coming through. And a bit of grape. There's some maltiness there as well, but nice, fresh, light, makes you want to drink it, I think. It's nice and it's quite nice, bright and lively on the tongue, which is lovely. I'm getting nice fruit flavours. The grapefruit actually is coming through for me quite strongly. It's got a nice high al. It's got a nice mouthfeel to it. So the carbonation level's pretty good there. Not too much. We try not to get too much carbonation in our beers. An over-carbonated bottled beer, we don't think actually, I think we think it takes away a little bit from the flavour you get. So you might find that our beers are lower on the carbonation levels than you get from the standard stuff you get in supermarkets, etc. So yeah, nice, light, bright, fresh, white grapefruit. Yeah, definitely get a bit of that. There's also a nice sort of dryness to it, almost that grape skin sort of dry pithiness to it. It's hard to describe, I think, but I get a nice dry, sort of almost grassy dryness at the end, which fortunately makes me want to drink a little bit more. So cheers everybody, I'll have a little bit more. Good, yeah, nice, clean, crisp flavours. And what I will show you now, actually, just so that you can see, if I swirl the little bit in the bottom of this bottle, and you'll see what comes out. So sometimes we do get people commenting saying, oh, there's bits in my beer. Well, those bits will be these bits, and you can see how that goes all cloudy. Now, you wouldn't normally pour that with this particular, well, I might, but most people won't, because this beer doesn't necessarily need it. But next week we'll be looking at the Weizen, and there's different ways you can drink that, and the yeast definitely adds. But you see, it makes it hazy. Yeast's very good for you, by the way. This is my big thing. Lots of vitamin B in yeast. It's very good for you. Helps cure your hangover before you've finished the evening. But what adding that yeast, it gives it a bit more mouthfeel, gives it a bit of smoothness actually, and a little bit more flavour comes through, because there's quite a lot of flavour in the yeast as well. But most people like a nice crystal clear beer, and it's probably a crisper, cleaner taste without the yeast in for this particular beer. This is a great beer. And what's great about it actually is the low ABV. So when we first produced it, it went down really well. Six Nations sort of time, and I do remember spending most of the day in a bar drinking this, and being pleasantly surprised when I could still walk out of the place. So it's perfect for that. So a nice session ale, keep you going throughout the day. If you're looking for a sunny day's drinking, it's perfect. So we're hoping very much that we can keep getting the Nelson Sauvin, because we think it's made a huge difference. And it's quite a simple grain bill, with the hops really being the leader in this brew. So it's nice, simple, clean, plenty of pale malt, which is clearly the base for most beers, but the majority of that is pale, and then little bit of crystal to give a bit of colour, and some pale malt, some wheat to give it just a little bit of mouthfeel. So I have got just one more thing to say, really, before we go, because clearly I want to drink more of this beer, and I'm sure you do as well. Is first to say thank you. Thanks for listening in. I hope you've all enjoyed it. No idea how long I've been going on for. I'm sure I'll get told. I hope you've all enjoyed it. And again, a massive thank you to everyone for your support over the last couple of weeks, and hopefully ongoing as well. It's clearly we're in slightly testing times, and beer is important, clearly, and in fact, apparently, according to the government, it is essential, which I like to think is correct, but it's not. It's not the most essential thing, and there are a lot of people out there working hard and trying to make sure that we get through this crisis for however long it lasts. All those essential workers out there. So I think it's appropriate before we finish. I'm just going to raise a toast. I will answer a few more questions before we go, but I think it's only right that we raise a toast so everybody hopefully has their glasses charged. We raise a toast to all those NHS and other essential workers who are out there doing their bit to keep us safe and hopefully get us through this crisis. So my cheers to the essential workers. That's cheers, and have a great weekend from me.